Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Language video.
Help us express what we
Hey guys, the School of Life. Original link to the video, top of the description, right below that. Let's just go.
We're hugely dependent on language to help us express what we really think and feel. But some languages are better than others at crisply naming important feelings.
Fascinating. I'm already stopping. I always wondered because not all languages are going to be equal, right? There's going to be a more efficient way of communicating than another way.
Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Oh, thanks, man. That was my other video getting ready. So I wonder what language, like there has to be a way. The cool thing is that we can definitely figure this out. We can definitely find the answer. It's not like, oh, all languages are equal in their own way. It's like, no, definitely not. That doesn't make any sense. Someone had to have made the best way to communicate. And I wonder what language that is. So it would have to be, I guess the parameters would have to be what language gets across your point the most smoothly while also not taking a lot of time. You know? So conveying what you're trying to say in the smallest amount of time on average, I think would be the quote most efficient, best language, I guess.
Germans have been geniuses at inventing long, or what get called compound words, that elegantly put a finger on sensations that we all know, but that other languages require whole clumsy sentences or paragraphs to express. So here is a small selection of the best of Germany's extraordinary range of compound words.
Cool.
Erklärungsnot. Literally,
of course, I'm going to try and pronounce everything.
Of compound words. Erklärungsnot.
Erklärungsnot. Erklärungsnot.
Literally, a distress at not having an explanation. The perfect way to define what a partner might feel when they're caught watching porn or are spotted in a restaurant with a hand they shouldn't be holding. More grandly, Erklärungsnot is something we feel when we realize we don't have any explanations for the big questions of life. It's a word that defines existential angst as much as shame. Futterneid.
So it's like I'm speechless, or like a sort of thing.
Okay. Existential angst
cool,
as
I
much
like
as shame. Futterneid.
Futterneid.
The feeling when you're eating with other people and realize that they've ordered something better off the menu that you'd be dying to eat yourself. Perhaps you were trying to be abstemious. Now you're just starving. The word recognizes that we spend much of our lives feeling we've ordered the wrong thing, and not just in restaurants. Luftschloss. Literally a castle in the air.
The thing is, that person could be thinking the same about... Okay, all right, interesting.
Just in restaurants. Luftschloss.
Luftschloss.
Literally a castle in the air, a dream that's unattainable. A word suggesting that German culture is deeply indulgent about big dreams, but also gently realistic about how hard it can be to bring them off. Backpfeifen.
So it's like recognizing I had an insane dream, but it's an insane dream, in a sense.
Gesicht. About how hard it can be to bring them off. Backpfeifengesicht.
Backpfeifengesicht. Backpfeifengesicht. Backpfeifengesicht.
A face that's begging to be slapped. Generosity towards others is key, but German is bracing and frank enough to acknowledge that there are also moments when it's simply more honest to realize we
Guys, do I have a Backpfeifengesicht?
May have come face to face with a dickhead. Ruinenlust. This word.
Excuse me?
With
Ruinenlust?
Dickhead. Ruinenlust.
Ruinenlust.
This word shows German at its most delightfully fetishistic and particular, meaning the delight one can feel at seeing ruins.
Ruinophiliac?
Collapsed palaces and the rubble of temples put anxieties about the present into perspective and induce a pleasing melancholy at the passage of all things.
Okay. Kind of a pleasing melancholy of the past. So is that mean kind of the feeling of like looking at an old thing and being like, I'm so worried about everything I do and how I come across, and yet I'm just one person during this time that is going to fade away like everyone else. It's like a melancholy, but kind of like a sort of relieving melancholy of being like, all right, this doesn't really matter that much. Only I'm caring about it. Or am I reading too much into this?
Into perspective.
Yeah, the fetish.
And
Okay.
induce a pleasing melancholy at the passage of all things.
Okay.
Kummerspeck.
Kummerspeck.
Literally sorrow fat. A word that frankly recognizes how often, when one is deeply sad, there is simply nothing more consoling to do than to head for the kitchen and eat. Fremdschämen.
I guess I'm kind of fortunate to never. I might not want to exercise as much when I get depressed, and so then I might get fatter. But I've never been like, oh, I have to eat. I'm depressed. I've never felt that way.
To do than to head for the kitchen and eat. Fremdschämen. A word full of empathy that captures the agony one can feel at somebody else's embarrassing misfortune or failure.
Cringe.
A capacity to feel Fremdschämen is a high moral achievement.
So cringe.
And is at the root of kindness.
So cringe. Isn't that what cringe means? It's like
Fremdschämen. A word full of empathy that captures the agony one can feel at somebody else's embarrassing misfortune or failure.
It's like, how embarrassed. It's like, oh my God, if I looked like that, I'd be so embarrassed. But I mean, that doesn't mean the person is
Capacity to feel Fremdschämen is a high moral achievement.
Is it, though? I feel like that's just sort of baseline. How is that a high moral achievement when it's such like a guttural thing that kind of just... It's like, oh God, I feel so bad for you.
And is at the root of kindness.
Interesting.
Weltschmerz.
Weltschmerz.
Literally world sadness. A word that acknowledges that we are sometimes sad not about this or that thing, but about the whole basis of existence. The presence of the word indicates a culture that isn't falsely cheerful, but takes tragedy as a given. It is immensely reassuring to be able to tell a friend that one is presently lying under the duvet, suffering from Weltschmerz.
So a lot of these are really interesting, but none of them so far are like, oh my God, I wish we had like that we need a word for that. I feel like everything so far, although there isn't a single English word for them, they can be pretty quickly explained. Right? World sadness. So you're not apathetic. You're actually sad about the state of the world. Okay.
Schadenfreude.
Okay, this is Schadenfreude. I've heard that definitely in philosophy classes.
We're meant to be sad when others fail, but German more wisely accepts that we often feel happiness, Freude, at the misfortunes, the Schaden of others. That isn't because we're mean. We just feel deeply reassured when we see confirmation that life is as hard for other people as it is for us. We can...
Okay. Schadenfreude. So I don't think this is a good thing to feel, to be honest. I don't think that... I understand that, so maybe he's using the outspoken, like, ha ha ha, to obviously to demonstrate the feeling you might have, which you can't help how you feel. But I think it'd be good to refrain from this sort of, not see this sort of feeling as a good thing. I mean, because if you have a strong sense of Schadenfreude, as it seems to be right here, that tells me that you're really self-conscious about yourself. Because if someone failing makes you happy so much, then that means that that constant feeling of like you're not good enough is like, oh my God, at least I'm not that. So I think the more of this you have, and especially the more you show, is not a good thing. But I get it. Like, that's a basic thing. I think even like little babies, if they see someone get hurt, they sort of laugh. I don't know if they're experiencing that, but
because we're mean. We just feel deeply reassured when we see confirmation that life is as hard for other people as it is for us. We can thank German for having so many of the right words to bring dignity to our troubles and hopes. Learning languages ultimately has little to do with discovering the world per se. It's about acquiring tools to help us get a clearer grasp on the elusive parts of ourselves.
I think that's so incredibly important. Great video. I don't want to skip if he has like an ad or a promo code. Okay. I think, and I think about this a lot, I don't think I have the greatest ability of this, although I try to. I believe one of the greatest talents you can have is conveying your opinion in a way that is easily understandable, which means imagining someone else being told what you're saying, and in a way that can communicate with everyone. I think that there is also a hindrance in only having an extremely high vocabulary. Like, just because you're the greatest English speaker, the greatest German speaker, right? And you have all of these very not obscure, not often used words, and words that are stereotypically like educational and stuff like that. I think it's the even more impressive or more important to be able to communicate with everyone rather than not having the vocabulary to speak with people with a large vocabulary, or not knowing what words to use to, in a sense, I guess if you want to call it, dumb yourself down. But just conveying information, I think, is important. Not conveying information in the most educated way possible, right? That's great too, but I think just knowing how to put how you feel out there so people can understand is such a important thing. And yeah, there are a lot of instances I can't think of right now, but I'm like, wow, we need to make a word for that, so I don't have to like try and go in and explain that whole thing. Or maybe there is a word for it and I just don't know it. Interesting video. I'm definitely might have been too talkative for this type of video. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope I didn't talk too much. And any questions I had, if you have the answers to, would love to see them in the comments. If I didn't say this before the video, the original link to the video is at the top of the description. Below that, link to the Discord. Would love to have you. Just makes it easier for me to interact with you and whatnot. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.